You want a job in tech, but every job posting asks for experience, and you can't get experience without a job. Sounds familiar? Here's the truth no one tells you. Every fresher who broke into a top company was in this exact spot. They didn't wait for someone to give them a chance. They built the chance themselves. In this video, I'll show you exactly how. The exact strategies to build your resume from scratch in the order that actually works. And the one step almost everyone skips. Stick around till the end. The last one is the most important and the one most people miss. Quick intro if you're new here. I'm a senior engineering manager and have worked with top tech companies including Google. I've sat on hiring panels and reviewed stacks of fresher resumes. I know exactly what gets pulled from the pile and what gets skipped. Okay, so let's get into it. See, hiring managers don't reject you for lack of experience. They reject you for lack of evidence. Let me say that again. Your resume doesn't need a work history, it needs a proof that you can work. That's a completely different problem. And it's the one you can solve this month. Here's the plan. I'm going to give you 6 strategies. And here's something important. Each one of these is more powerful than the previous one. So the further down the list we go, the bigger the impact on your resume. Do them in the order. Stick with me till the end. Okay, first one. And this is the foundation that everything else sits on top of. Skills. See, most freshers go too broad. They write full stack developer on their resume with zero depth anywhere. Reviewers see right through this. Go narrow instead. Pick one track and go deep. For example, Java with Spring Boot and MySQL. That's a real stack. You can build real things with it. And you can talk about it intelligently in a conversation. And here's the part I really want you to hear. You don't need to pay for fancy courses. You don't need certificates. You don't need a bootcamp. Every skill you need as a fresher is already free. YouTube has full courses from world-class teachers. Open source documentation is often better than most paid content. Free tutorials on Java, Spring, database, system design, all of it is one search away. I'm telling you this from the reviewer's side. When I'm looking at a fresher's resume, I'm not looking for certificates. I'm looking for what you can actually do. A certificate just proves you paid for a course. A working project proves you can build, and real experience, like working on projects or internships, is worth 10 times more than any paid course on your resume. Okay, so that's the foundation. Now let's get to the first thing that actually shows up on your resume. So the next one is where most freshers lose the game before it even starts. Projects. Everyone builds the same 3 projects. A to-do app, a weather app, a clone of something famous. I've reviewed hundreds of these. They're invisible. Here's what actually stands out when I'm looking at a resume. 1. The project that solves a real problem, not a tutorial problem. Something you or someone you know actually needed. 2. It's actually deployed. There's a link I can click. If I have to set up your repo to see your work, I'm definitely not going to. 3. It has a story. Why you built it, what broke, what you learned, what you do differently next time. Now the good news is, AI has completely changed the game here. A project that used to take 3 months, you can now ship in a weekend. You can build faster, break more things and learn faster than any generation before you. But here's the catch. AI is a multiplier. The thinking still has to be yours. Reviewers can tell the difference between a project you understood and a project you copied from a prompt. So build, but understand what you're building. 2 or 3 strong projects, that's all you need. Okay, projects are good, but this next one is even stronger, and it takes you from a student to professional instantly. Freelance gigs, real client, real deadline, real deliverables. Once you have this on your resume, you are no longer a fresher. You are someone who has shipped work for someone else. That's a huge jump in how you are seen. Okay, I know what you're thinking. How do you get a gig when you have no reviews, no history, no track record? Simple. You undercut. In the beginning, the only way to get picked is to bid lower than everyone else, or set your price to the bare minimum. That's it. Don't worry about the money right now. You're not in this for income yet. You're in this for a resume line, a portfolio piece, and a real reference. That's worth way more than whatever you charged. Where to find these gigs? Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer.com, local businesses in your area, your professor's side project, a friend's startup, a community forum. Work exists everywhere once you start looking. And here's the hidden benefit. Freelance teaches you things tutorials never will. How to scope work, how to communicate with a client, how to ship under pressure, how to handle feedback. You cannot fake this by doing more courses. 1 or 2 small gigs on your resume completely change how you're perceived. Do it. Okay. Next one is what everyone talks about, but almost no one understands the real reason why it matters. Internships. Yes, get one. But here's the part most freshers miss. The resume line is not even the main prize. What you actually get from an internship is the thing you cannot get any other way. You get to see how work really happens. Get discipline, code reviews, sprint cycles, how decisions actually get made, how to talk to a product manager, how to push back professionally, what production ready actually means. None of this is in any course, none of this is in any tutorial. You only learn it by sitting inside a real team and watching how professionals work. This is why one internship accelerates your career more than a year of solo projects. You're not just building skills, you're learning how work works. You should apply everywhere, even small companies, even unpaid if you absolutely have to. The learning compounds for years. Okay, the next one is genuinely my favorite. And honestly, it's the one that can save you years of guessing. Mentorship. Think about this for a second. You picked a stack, you're building project, you're applying for gigs and internship. But how do you know if you're doing any of this right? Well, you don't. Not without someone who's actually been on the other side. The single biggest accelerator for a fresher is getting 30 minutes with someone who has actually been in the room when hiring decisions are made. Someone who has sat on hiring panels. Someone who has actually seen what works and what doesn't. Someone who can look at your specific resume, your specific projects, and tell you what to fix. That one conversation can save you months of guessing, sometimes years. It's a kind of insight you cannot get from any video, including this one. That's exactly why we built BeTopTen.com. Mentors from FAANG and top tech companies available for one-on-one sessions. If you want someone to look at your situation and give you real insider feedback, go there. It's genuinely a game changer. Okay, last one to go. And remember, I told you the last one is the most important. And this is the one most people completely forget about. A portfolio. See, you can have best skills, the coolest project, real freelancing work, and a great mentor guiding you. But if no one can find your work, none of it matters. You need a portfolio, a place where all of it lives in one spot. For engineers, that's simple, a personal website plus a curated GitHub. Pin your best repos, write clean README files, make it easy for a reviewer to understand your work in 30 seconds. For designers, it's Behance or Dribbble. For data folks, Kaggle and Medium write-ups. For product managers, case studies or a personal site or Notion. And here's the rule, 3 strong projects beat 10 mediocre ones. Always. A clean portfolio with 3 polished pieces look more professional than a messy one with 10 half-finished things. Curate ruthlessly. The portfolio is often what gets you noticed before your resume is even opened. Recruiters search, hiring managers click links. Make sure there's something there for them to find. Okay, so now once you have all of this built up, how you actually write and present it on a page is a whole separate skill. Most freshers bury their best work in bad formatting and weak wording. I made a full video on how to write a resume that actually gets noticed. Link is in the description. But here's the thing I want you to walk away with. Nothing in this video requires permission. No one has to hire you, pick you, or approve you to start. Tonight you can pick your stack. This weekend you can ship your first project. In a month you can have a portfolio and a freelance gig on your resume. The freshers who break through are not the ones who waited. They're the ones who built before anyone asked them to. That's the whole game. If this video helped, hit subscribe. I post content like this every week. And if you want direct mentorship from people who have actually hired at top companies, head over to BeTopTen.com. See you in the next video. Thank you very much.